Hi guys, it's Emily, and today I'm here to bring you a discussion video of some thoughts I've been having, and I sort of started out with one question going in my head, and it sort of shifted into like a totally different question. So I'm just going to start talking, and hopefully this will make sense. So recently I've read two 2018 releases, and as y'all probably know, that's pretty rare for me, and the two books that I've read were You Think It, I'll Say It by Curtis Sittenfeld, which is a collection of short stories. And then I also read a Storied Life by Leigh Kramer. And both of these books were published in 2017. And they both are set, maybe not in they were both published in 2018, and I don't think they're technically set in 2018, but they might be. This one in particular, there's a short story where they're discussing Trump's election, so you know it has to have taken place after November 2016. And then this one, it's not really said what the year is, but it feels like it's pretty modern. And both of these books are considered contemporary fiction, which is a genre I don't read like a ton of. And so the question that I originally was thinking of was does contemporary fiction need to be realistic to be effective, was what I was thinking about. And what made me think of that was because in this story, this is the one I read first, in this story, the main character's name is Olivia, and she is an art gallery owner, and she is a member of a wealthy family. Her family owns a bank, and most of the people in her family, her siblings and her cousins, work at this bank. And so she never wanted to work at the bank really, but she of course is wealthy because her family is wealthy, and her art gallery was initially formed with family money. And so she sort of got this privilege of she never really had to work to gain security. And the thing that made me think about whether contemporary fiction needs to be realistic or not is in this book, the main storyline is that Olivia's grandmother, Graham, has cancer, and she has to go on hospice care. And so we're seeing Graham's experience with hospice, and we're seeing how Olivia has to be her caretaker. Olivia is given her power of attorney for health care, and so she's responsible for a lot of the decisions as Graham starts getting sicker and things like that. And so Leigh Kramer is an author I follow on her blog. Her blog is LeighKramer.com. And so she has talked about on her blog that she used to be a hospice caretaker. She used to work with people that were on hospice and their families. And so part of her goal in writing this book was accurately portraying the experience of having a family member on hospice. And so that was that was her main focus in that book. And this book does, in writing this book, and this book does show you what happens as your family member declines and things like that. But after I finished it, I started thinking about how Olivia she's concerned with Graham's health, and she's concerned with, the process of ensuring that Graham gets good care and that Graham has like a peaceful death, but she never has to worry about like the things that I think a lot of people would have to worry about if somebody they knew went on hospice. She never has to worry about money. Graham has plenty of money, and the family has plenty of money, so they never have to worry about paying for this hospice care. And she also never has to worry about losing her job because she has to take care of Graham. She owns this art gallery, and she's got this very, responsible and very diligent gallery manager that basically runs the gallery for her while she's caring for Graham. So she's pretty much able to take like this huge amount of time off from her job, and there doesn't seem to be very much repercussion for it. And so I was starting to think, is that really realistic? As Leigh said, she wanted to make this experience of hospice care, very realistic, but it's not realistic. And I started thinking, well, maybe it's not. And so that sort of bothered me. But I don't know, because, as some people, you're able to get family leave. I know at my job now, apply for family leave if I ever needed it. But I think that family leave only lasts for like a few months at most, and so I don't know if it's really accurate, Olivia's experience of, you know, getting to take, weeks and weeks off from her job and basically pretty much leaving her gallery in capable hands. And then it's also like, well, most people probably wouldn't feel comfortable leaving their business in the hands of their subordinate, but maybe they would, I don't know. So that's what I was thinking about, whether or not this book is realistic and whether or not that matters, because maybe the goal of contemporary fiction isn't to be realistic, but it's to show, the real emotions and the real, what the minutiae of hospice and the, what really happens in terms of feeling and the pains of grief and the pains of loss. And then how it relates to this book is both of these books predominantly deal with the problems of wealthy people. I mean, Olivia, her experience of hospice happens to everybody, but her direct experience of it is a rich person's experience, because she doesn't really have to worry about the day-to-day minutiae. She doesn't have to worry about the cost or the potential for losing your job. And the same with this book. All the short stories in here pretty much deal with wealthy people's problems. And most of this, I found myself reading this and getting annoyed because the people, are so wealthy and they're so self-absorbed and they seem to be so concerned with their problem, and their problem isn't that important. Like the first story in this collection is about a woman who wants to cheat on her husband because she's bored, and she thinks this fellow dad in the school where her kids go is going to be interested in cheating with her, and then he basically tells her no, she's crazy, he just wants to talk to her at social functions, but he's not interested in cheating with her, and it's about her disappointment about that. And at the end of the story, you're just like, I didn't feel bad for her. I was like, lady, why are you cheating, for one thing? And also, you have the pretty much picture perfect life, and yet you're not happy. And it just seemed very trite or something. And I wasn't sure. And so then I started thinking, well, maybe it's not that contemporary fiction isn't realistic. It's that it seems to be predominantly focused on wealthier people, because wealthier people don't have to worry so much about paying bills or their 9-to-5 jobs. They can pretty much have the flexibility to have deeper thinking and to have these very minute problems, very trite problems, and they don't have to worry about the basic day-to-day living, because that's going to happen for them whether they worry about it or not. It's just a fact of life. And so I don't know, I feel like I might be losing my train of thought because I'm sort of getting off the topic of realism in contemporary fiction, but it just seems like perhaps contemporary fiction has this rich people slant to it that, makes it kind of annoying to read for an average person. But I mean, clearly tons of people love contemporary fiction, so maybe it doesn't annoy them, it just annoys me. And I feel like this one, Curtis Sittenfeld is known for writing about wealthy people. I mean, I read her book Eligible, which is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, and the Bennetts, are a member of the Cincinnati Country Club, and they have nice cars and they have a really nice house, and their issue is that the parents never saved money because they were really concerned about living the wealthy lifestyle. And then it's well, that's their fault, and I don't feel bad for them, but maybe I should. I don't know. And then for this one, it seems sort of because Leigh emphasized the fact that her concern was making the process of hospice care realistic, it sort of seemed well, maybe she should have taken it a step further and actually made it where Olivia was concerned about paying for the hospice and concerned about losing her gallery if she didn't keep it open and things like that. And I don't know, it seemed like maybe these two books could have been, more well-rounded in some way, and again, I don't think their concern is particularly being absolutely realistic. I think their concern is showing the thoughts and feelings of the people that are in these situations that happen in this book. And like even this book, I mentioned that there's a story that takes place after Trump's election, and the people in it are sort of discussing what's going to happen now that Trump's been elected. And even then, they're both so wealthy. They're at this hotel where it's like $500 a night to stay there, and it's like you feel like, does it really matter? Is there going to be that much change in their day-to-day life because Trump was elected? And then you think, well, maybe this story would have worked better if it was about two people whose actual life is going to be impacted because they lose their rights, or because, something dramatic happens to them because of Trump's election. And I don't know. It just seems like maybe contemporary fiction is not my genre, and because it makes me think of whether it's realistic and whether it really, the feelings that they're portraying are really that important in the scheme of things. So I guess I'm sort of going on a tangent, and I don't really know what I'm trying to say, except that maybe, do you think contemporary fiction is realistic? And do you think that matters? And do you think contemporary fiction is sort of becoming focused on wealthier people, and does that impact your enjoyment of it? And yeah, let's just talk about contemporary fiction and whether or not it's realistic, and whether or not you need it to be realistic in the comments below. So, thanks for watching, and I want to discuss this down in the comments, and I hope everybody's having a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!